Antoine is going to be crowned your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship! What a season! Absolutely phenomenal!
Good evening and welcome everybody to WOR Season 11. We are at round 4, the Canadian Grand Prix. I've got it right up in front of me and I still got the numbers wrong. And while I just quickly sort out the audio issue I've got for Antiv here, just bear with us 2 seconds and I'll get that fixed pretty quickly. So that should be all good now. Sorry about that. There seems to be a glitch in the matrix on a lot of things today, not only Twitter. Let's hope the servers are better than they were last night so we can get some racing done. Antiv, I hope you're well. I know we've spoken already, but welcome to the 4th round of Season 11. Not long into the season, but it's already creeping to the midway point of the season, and what an incredible race we had last time out at China, and some incredible battles throughout. And are we expecting the same here at Canada?
Every turn, and we expect nothing less today, and it is a pleasure to be back in the comments box. We've got, as you say, round 4, and this season is so short compared to obviously the real life season. We're at the stage where every single race, we're shaping up for the end game already. Every single race is so much more important than you would normally see in other leagues. So a driver missing a race, crashing out early and scoring no points has a much bigger effect than normal. So it does really put a lot more pressure on these guys. But yeah, the racing, we expect nothing different.
Now, we've seen a full podium lockout for Ron Ha. He's been in every position of the podium so far this season, but only got an 8-point lead over Shadow, who's had 2 victories in a row now. That's China and Japan that he's done phenomenally well at. And maybe you're right, you've already stated that one not finish at Bahrain at the beginning of the season could cost him dearly in this title battle. These 2 early leaders in the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're at a stage now where Shadow, he's slowly clawing it back because, of course, Ron Ha had that third place in round 2, getting the numbers the wrong way around there. So he's lost out on a couple of extra points. And at the moment, that means if Shadow wins and gets the fastest lap of the race today, then he will take the championship lead no matter what Ron Ha does. So, yeah, we're in a real good shape for a championship battle. I think it, at the moment, is definitely shaping up to be between those 2 because they've got about 16 points Shadow has to Jonas in 3rd place, so that's a gap from 2nd to 3rd. So there's a little bit of a gap already. Jonas has got 2 podiums out of 3 so far, so he's not by any means doing a bad job. He's in a close battle with the likes of Connor Square, who failed to score last week, so he actually lost out quite a bit there. But yeah, there's a real good battle in it's not even the midfield, it's sort of like the battle for 3rd. There's about 5-6 cars that I think are going to be going at it all season, because as we've seen in the races so far, there's not a lot to separate them at all, and each of them are more than capable of popping in with a win or a 2nd place.
Definitely, there's some incredible guys to cause some issues to the front 2, Shadow and Ron Har at the moment. But I mean, if who do you think so far this season hasn't done, as these guys go out, do their first like out laps and the first proper laps, which aren't really proper laps, they're just banker laps for these guys, to be honest. But who do you think is flattered to deceive at the moment? For me, it's Sparks, because he's shown some really, really cracking one lap pace, but just not got it on the race day at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. And he's had some pretty poor luck in the races as well, getting involved in some collisions that by no means were his fault. So, yeah, he's been quite unlucky this season. He's definitely got a lot to prove still. He's actually still yet to pick up a podium, which I wouldn't have been expecting after pre-season to be the case coming into the 4th race. So, yeah, he's had a lot of bad luck. He'll be looking to turn that around. I know he's got a lot of confidence in himself at every track. He's going to be working on it, and he's very enthusiastic. So he's really putting in the effort for this, and the results should start to show just basically by luck as the season goes on. So yeah, he should be someone who's definitely battling up for 3rd at the moment. He's suffering for the most part from a DNF in the first race. That was one of the biggest issues, obviously after a bit of contact and just losing out there. But equally, I'd say someone for myself would be not necessarily the underperforming, but lower in the championship than they deserve to be as well. I'd say it's probably Leopard. He's down in P8 at the moment on 20 points. But that's because he missed the first race. So, it's sort of things. You look at the table at face value, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I expect like Leopard and Sparks definitely to be a bit higher, probably by the end of today. So let's see. It's all so close in that midfield. They could easily be in the top 3 at the end of the day. So yeah, that'd be good to see. And Agonized as well, actually. I think that's something to mention. I don't believe he's actually raced with us this season yet, but he is an absolutely extraordinary young driver, and having been in the same team as him for a good couple of months earlier in the year, he's just developing so quickly, and he's such a talented driver, so it's going to be really fun to see what he can do. I think in the coming years he's definitely going to go on to great things as well.
Yeah, I recognise the name. I think I've seen him around a little bit. They've got some great pace around him, but obviously early doors for him was just setting a banker lap in, getting himself used to it. As there's Dark Killer going on the mediums early ways as well. There's Connor going a little bit quicker than Chili, and that's another driver that's still got a little bit to prove, I think. Is Chili.
Yeah.
He's got some great pace, but just not all there quite yet.
No, and he had a similar issue to that I did and a couple of other drivers had last week, where he wasn't actually able to get in the lobby, so he lost on the chance to score some pretty vital points to kickstart his championship. So yeah, he's definitely got a lot to prove today. We know he's a really quick driver, but he just needs to pick up the points and make the championship table properly reflect that. Sparks, there you go, we'll talk about him. He's just gone right away up into P1. Ahead of Tribune as well, who has yet to finish a race, so he's got to really, again, work on that. He needs some points to kickstart his season. But that's a really good lap from Dark. I feel like that's gone a little bit under the radar at the moment, but he's only 4/10 off Sparks on the medium tyres. That's a properly fast lap for Dark.
Yeah, cracking lap there, as I've just gone on board with Shadow, because, obviously the guy to watch this weekend, and look at that, 3/10 quicker than his teammate, already flexing his muscles a little bit on this, early sectors of the qualifying. But yeah, Dark Killer's medium run, very, very under the radar. Not something I thought really he could get going, but obviously he's put onto a set of softs now, so I think he's thinking he can go quicker. As there goes WR Wilson, quicker than his teammate. Oh, only just quicker than Agonizer there. Let's see who else is on the lap time. Let's see what Ron Har can do. His championship lead is under threat from Shadow at the moment. 8 points in it. What can qualifying do? Can he do anything? It's only a 10th slower than Shadow. Are we going to see this all season long?
I wouldn't bet against it, let's put it that way. These two are both absolutely rapid. And then, of course, you get a couple of other drivers who do just put themselves in the mix for the start. And I mean, this is probably the most dominant we've seen him in the early stages of a qualifying session so far this season. But, you know, Alfie, actually, he's one who can absolutely come up with a brilliant lap. We've seen that just at the end of the session, popping himself up into the front row of the grid, maybe third or fourth as well. He is a really good qualifier. Maybe doesn't quite have the pace or luck in the race. He does tend to fall back a little bit, but on his one-lap pace, definitely fairly consistent and fairly rapid as well. So, yeah, that's good to see. But yeah, I think at the moment we've just got to see between Shadow and Ronhar. It's so important who's going to be the one who starts this race in the front, because overtaking is not an easy feat around Canada. We've seen that in real life, and I think quite a bit in league racing as well. It's a lot harder to overtake. There's none of those heavy braking zones that you really do need to get some proper racing to properly send it down the inside. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a hard ask. So, yeah, pole here is going to be really important. And if either Shadow or Ronhar end up, you know, 4th or 5th place, that could be quite hard to recover properly from.
Definitely. And you know, the alternate strategy, while strong here, it's not the strongest to do it, as Dark has unfortunately left the session. Let's hope he can get back in quickly enough. But let's go see what Chile can do. Not the best first lap out, but it could very well just be a banker lap for him to get himself sorted. But let us know in the chat, who do you think is going to get pole here at Canada, as Chile's already invalidated his lap time. What can Square do? Can he bring himself back into the championship mix? He's obviously dropped out after last week's unfortunate Chinese Grand Prix for him, so not the best of results he could have had, and dropping him quite well away from the front two, with Shadow definitely, after winning that one. But he's purple in Sector 1, so good response maybe from Square here. Can we see him do, a return to form?
Yeah, obviously he came into last race as 2nd place in the championship, so he's we've seen that he can really get some points on the board when he needs to. But let's see here what this lap is going to be like. Of course, he's actually doing pretty well so far. Maybe got a little bit deep into hairpin now. I don't think that was the greatest line or exit that he's got in that Alpha Tauri. So let's see what Square's going to be able to do, as now we run down. And the chicane here is incredibly difficult. I don't think anyone who plays this game or has watched as much this game needs to be told that. But it's, just like that, really easy to invalidate. And there goes Square's lap. We're going to be seeing a lot of that, especially in the race. People, sometimes actually going for moves at the chicane, which is fairly optimistic, but does tend to end in a warning or collision. So maybe if you're close enough to go for the move, you might want to wait just a moment for turn 1, or turn 1 and turn 2. But yeah, it's a real challenge. It may be actually a bit less than normal. The Wall of Champions isn't as much of a threat as it is in real life, which is I think a bit of an explanation of this game, really, and the realism. It's not quite the same risks, but you have got completely new risks. It's quite easy to lose a rear end if you just get a little bit, the rear gets a little bit shaky off of the exit of the 2nd curve especially. You can be round quite quickly, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a driver spin there.
Yeah, and just seeing WR Raceway just tap the wall going through the first sector into turns 3 and 4, out of turn 4. So not great for him. Got to go fast 6 then, as he manages to not hit the Wall of Champions, but doesn't really go faster. So WR Wilson then, will he be able to produce a lap? And this is, what you say about corner cutting here is very, very, I don't want to say strong.
That's lost another lap if he's going for it. It's a massive risk, and I think Got to Go Fast has just fallen foul of that again as well. So it's a really big issue. We're going to see that throughout the race, absolutely. Matthew Reese has just lost it. As I say, he's going in a little bit aggressive on the curb, and I think that's not quite paid dividends. His lap was already invalidated, but he's just had to spin to those tyres as well. So I think they're well and truly done now.
Yeah, just everywhere you go, a Shadow then produces the lap time that we're wanting, and that could be the problem for some of these guys, is forcing the issue too much and leaving it late in qualifying, adding that extra pressure that you don't really need a track like this. You don't want to leave it too late to set that world-beating or world-setting alight lap time. As Ronhar, purple in Sector 1, now can he finally display Shadow as the fastest man on the track. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if he can. He's properly riding the curbs through that chicane. Let's see what he can do as he comes into the hairpin. He's going to be hard on the brakes now. He's 2.5 tenths up. He's a quarter of a second up at the moment. As Square's put himself up into P2. So after invalidating his lap, Square, on fairly worn soft tyres, has just got up into P2. So how much more time has he got in that lap? And is this a testament to drivers maybe leaving a little bit on the table so that they can get a good banker in? But Ron Hart now coming through the chicane, ending the lap. He is properly going for it. The rear sliding through the chicane as he runs up to the line now, and it is just P2 by 6 thousandths of a second to Shadow.
That is crazy close as Duckkill is invalidated his lap time. But Square being on 3-lap old, Sparks on 2-lap old. A lot of these drivers putting a lot of lap times on their tyres. Is that down to, tyre wear not being so much of a problem at Canada, but also what we were saying about having the pressure, they have to do other laps to make sure they get a proper lap time on the board.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, it's a really short lap, so you're losing a lot less. It's not a massively high tyre day track either. So, yeah, it's not as much of an issue as we see somewhere like Spa, for example. Obviously, really long lap, you're just going to pick up tyre wear through the fast corners. Even if you're driving a little bit slower, you're still probably going around most corners about 120, 130. So there's a lot of tyre wear. But here you can afford to go quite slowly and you can get away with it. So, yeah, I think that's a testament to Square's lap, really. That's really good. He's probably... it's tyre wear's not a massive thing, but he's definitely got, I'd say, like a good 2-3 tenths in that lap time. With a fresh set of tyres, low fuel. Yeah, he can definitely do something quite special here. We'll have to see if he can pull it out the bag, because he's only got one more jab at it left, you'd think, or at least one more set of tyres. Depends how much fuel he's able to put in.
Definitely. There's... I can't really tell how much time we've got left, because there's a constant yellow flag going on, which... These guys like to go slow to save their tyres, but the game doesn't understand that for some unknown reason. But Chile on a lap time, what can he do through first sector? It's not as quick as he would have liked. It's a little bit down on his lap time as well. So Chile, for a Ferrari driver, currently in P8, has got a lot of work to do. Nearly collects the back end of the Alpine there. Mercedes, as he comes through the second DRS zone there. Coming down into the hairpin now, and what can Chile do? How much will he break? He's up on his time this time round, so he's gained time as he comes down the final straight. And I mean, Chile has got a lot of work to do, and he's one of the early final runners. You'd think that he's got a lot of, he'd need a lot of time gained, or otherwise he's going to drop down the order again.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just have to see now as he can come across the line. What is he able to do? Chile, he improves. He goes up into P5, improves by a quarter of a second in the end. And it goes right onto the back of Sparks, who's got himself in a great position as well in P4. Is that got to go fast, just putting himself up into P7 as well, alongside his Aston Martin teammate in Jonas. So it's looking like those two are going to be fairly close to each other on the grid in a couple of minutes' time. But Chile's got to come back into the pit lane quite quickly here, because I don't know, his fuel light's not flashing, so I reckon he's going to get another jab with these tyres. But obviously he's going to lose a little bit of time. He hasn't got, he's definitely not got enough time to come back into the pits and give it another go, or maybe just about.
Yeah, he'd have to get into the pit. He'd now have to floor it back into the pits, and I'm not sure if he would want to do that onto his tyres. But Matthew Rees then 0.2 of a second up on his time in the second sector, so a lot of pace in his tyres still. He's currently P14, but with how little the gap is between first and, between him and between Shadow and Matthew Rees, there's only 0.8 of a second between the two of them. So anything can still happen in this qualifying session. Don't forget to give us your shout-outs of who do you think is going to get pole. At the moment it's Shadow, but Ronhar not giving an inch, and Matthew Rees up into 9th place at the moment. So plenty of time left, and let's see what Trivion can do as he comes through into turn 8 and 9. He invalidates the lap time, and that's just how easy it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. It's literally a couple of millimeters off the track, and it is a straight penalty like that, and your lap is completely gone. Matthew Reese is giving it a flyer. He's half a tenth down on his best Sector 1 time so far, but let's see if he can improve as he goes further around the lap now. He's properly given it a go in that Mercedes, chucking his car through chicane, riding the curbs very nicely. Heavy braking now coming into the hairpin. There we go, third gear on the exit for the best traction and a little bit short shifting as well. And that is not ideal from Agonized on the racing line there, or at least the racing line that Matthew Reese was trying to take. I think there's nothing wrong with Agonized being there, but I think the weaving probably caught him a bit off guard. And yeah, Matthew Reese, I think, probably did lose quite a bit of time through those two sectors. So he does dart into the pit lane, and that is, of course, his session over because there's not enough time to go back out.
Not enough time at all, unfortunately for him. But let's go on board with Sparks. He's currently P4. The Alpha team are, at the moment, the quickest qualifiers around. But they've got, wow, he's got a lot of traffic. Oh, actually, no, they've darted out the way for him. So Sparks has got a lot of time, surely, to gain here. Can he get out of the shadow of his teammate and Ronha and get into pole position here?
Yeah, at the moment it's looking pretty close. Let's see what Spike's able to do. He's 2 tenths up at the moment. Let's see if he can gain time through the final sector. That's not a bad run through the final chicane at all. So let's see if Sparks can improve. He should. He moves up into P3. And it's going to be Shadow next. He's 1.5 tenths up. He's invalidated out the final corner, though. So Shadow will not improve. And this gives Ronha his chance. He's not been improving so far. He's actually half a second down. So Ronha not going to improve either. Giving it a weave. He knows he's lost out there. And yeah, I think it's just enough time for Ronha to start another lap. Actually, Shadow is not starting another lap. He invalidated this and next lap. But Ronha is just going to have enough time to do one more lap. One last grab at it. And I don't think on those soft tyres it's going to be very easy. But he's only got to improve by 6 thousandths of a second. Else is coming across the line there. I think that was got to go fast, putting himself up into P8 potentially. I'm not sure. I don't think that was improving. There was someone just moving around. Might have been Raceway finishing his lap actually.
Clenzo did get himself up into P5 there as well. Yep. So, but LCR Mulder, we've not spoken about him at all, not touched anything, and he's purple in Sector 2. He is flying at the moment in the Red Bull. Can the second Red Bull bring the fight to the Alfa Romeos of Shadow and Sparks, and also his teammate? What can he do? Will he invalidate it through the last chicane? He does not. Flying down to the start-finish line, and where can Mulder go? It's only P13. That was a little bit anticlimactic there from the Red Bull driver. He was looking so quick.
Let's have a quick look at Ronha. I'm not sure if he's actually improving coming into the final sector now, but this is his last go at it. He's actually had a personal best Sector 2. So Ronha here, he's only got to improve by 6 thousandths of a second, remember. Will his tyres hang on? Will he be able to keep it within track limits? One last time as he flies through the chicane now. Running up towards the line. Will Ronha get himself at the front? Yes, he does. Ronha claims pole position at the moment. And Alfie's got himself up into P3 as well.
Yeah, Chile then crashing on the line with no front wing. I'm surprised that Ronha didn't get distracted by that. But what an incredible lap by Ronha to get himself back up into pole position, and an extra lap on those tyres, but I don't think he'll mind too much being on the nicer side of the grid. And wow, what a qualifying session we were involved in there. And Ronha taking away pole. Surprised by Alfie's incredibly late party joining?
No, we've seen him do that a couple of times this season. That's the thing. It comes out of nowhere, and you never really fully expect it. But yeah, he does get himself up into a really good position at the end. And yeah, this is enough chance of him starting P3. He can pick up some good points here. But like we said in the race, he doesn't tend to fare as well. He's only picked up 10 points this season in the last 2 races that he's finished. So yeah, he's got a big ass today, but it should be quite difficult to be overtaken here. Maybe he could lose 1 or 2 places off the start, but past that point, as long as he can keep all 4 wheels on the track, he should be in pretty good stead.
Yeah, so it is Ronha on pole with Shadow alongside him in the front row of the grid there. And wow, that is what we're going to be looking for all season long. I think these two battling it out. But then it's Alfie in 3rd place with Sparks in 4th. The Alfa Romeo is still doing really well there. Colenso on the 3rd, Square and Colenso on the 3rd row of the grid, with the 4th row of the grid going to Got to Go Fast and Luca. Then in 9th place, it's Chile with Jonas in 10th, with WR Connor, the first of the 3 sets of tyres, in 11th place. WR Raceway, his teammate, in 12th, so good positioning there really for the Williams crew, having the optimum strategy, or the alternate strategy I should say, available to them. 13th is Burraps, 14th is WR Wilson, with 15th going to Matthew Reese, 16th Mulder, 17th Agonised, 18th is VRT Tribion, Dark Killer 19th place, and AMS Blakey in 20th in the Haas. Incredible stuff. Really impressed by Ronha coming out of the blocks. Even after that pressure of losing out, he still went for it.
Yeah, absolutely. He lost out on that first lap, and just thought, you know what? No, Shadow's not going to improve. Give it a go, and he does just about make it. So, yeah, we've got Ronha starting on pole now. So, if he can hold on, he's in pretty good stead. But will he be able to keep his championship lead? A formation lap and another 35 separate him and the answer to that question. But that's just for tonight. There's a whole rest of the season to go. So, you know, Ronha, any advantage now, if he can pick up a good, like, 16, 17-point advantage going into the next race, he is in a really good position all of a sudden. So, yeah, this is a great opportunity, and it does give him a little bit of wiggle room against Shadow.
Let us know in the chat who you think is going to take victory today. Obviously, big bets on Ronha and Shadow, I know already, but looking down the grid on the tyre selection, quite obvious ones for most of them outside of the top 10. But Agonised and Tribion, both going for a set of softs to start things, and the 2 Williams having a collision already on the formation lap. That's not what you want to see, you two. And I'm sure the Williams team will not be happy with that either. But yeah, let us know who you think is going to take victory. And well, I'm going to ask you the same question, as give you a little bit of time to go down there. Who do you think is going to take victory out of this top incredible league that we've got going on?
I don't think the ultimate strategy is going to be powerful enough, just because of how much easier it is. It's not easy to defend, but how much easier it is relative to other tracks to defend. You know what? I'm going to say, first of all, whoever gets off whoever's leading into turn 2. But let's go with Ronha. Let's chuck it with Ronha. He needs to put in a good performance today to really say to Shadow, look, I know you've only done 2 races, you've won them both, but you know what? You're not going to beat me every week. Here we go. Put in a performance, extend that championship lead.
You know what? I'm going to go with completely against what we've just been talking about and agreeing with. I'm going to go Square from 5th on the grid. You know, I know it's going to be an incredible, hard overtaking track, but I mean, Square's, I think he's going to come back at this one really fighting. But look at that, 2 Alfa Romeos on the left-hand side of the grid there. They're on the dirty side, apparently. I don't think there is. I think I'd prefer to be on that side, to be perfectly honest, but we're waiting for the lights. We're on 2, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights at Canada, round 4, WOR. And it's away. It's a little bit of a slow start there from Ronha, and Shadow trying to get up the inside already, but look at that in the background. Sparks trying to go around the outside, but he's got the Alpha Tauri being absolutely hounding him, and the Clenzo struggling as well, but Sparks surely up the inside of VRT Alfie. Is he going to get the move done into turn 3 and 4? He's had to drop out and back a little bit there, and Mulder's up 4 places down below, and Burraps has had an absolute nasty start, and it's down 5 places for him. And what a little bit of a slow start at the front, but there's a lot of battling going on at the back, and Clenzo, got to go fast, is having 2 Ferraris right up his gearbox.
Yeah, at the moment it's looking good. Oh, there's a big mistake from Luca though. He just about held on to it, exiting the chicane. That was very smart from Sparks. He decided to back out of it. Oh, and Alfie's nearly gone into the back of Shadow, and Sparks has nearly gone into the back of Alfie. That was nearly a little bit messy from 2nd, 3rd and 4th, but Alfie's gone deep into the chicane. Hairpin, sorry. So this should give Sparks a chance to get the move done. Hopefully go down into turn 1 for his sake. He's obviously not going to give it a go through the chicane, and no, he obviously does not. But let's see if he can get the run. It does look like Alfie's going to get a decent slipstream from Shadow, though. He's not too far behind. It's going to be one hell of a dive bomb from Sparks. And no, he doesn't go for it. Nowhere near close enough in the end. But yeah, as you've seen so far, it's not too surprising. The medium runners haven't been able to make too much inroads into the top 10. We normally do see that other tracks, but I think that's a testament to the frustrations that they're probably going to have in the relations. Oh, Alfie, yeah.
I didn't see that. Sorry, I just saw an Alpine just go absolutely crazy on my screen. Did he just collect too much curve? I think he has, you know. I think he's collected too much curve through turn 4, and he's now at the back of the grid. Let's just quickly go on board with him. What kind of damage that car has? I don't think there's any damage. How has he got away with it?
Yeah, both end plates look fine. So yeah, he's just about got away with that. Yeah, having seen it back, it does look like he just maybe took a little bit too much curve on the exit. Destabilised the rear. And Wilson and Raceway going side by side as well. And there's a little bit of weaving from Connor. But look at Raceway. He's using his ERS. He's going to get past his teammate. As now Connor seems to have no pace at all, as even Wilson flies past coming into the chicane. So Connor losing 2 places on one straight, but is he going to get the better run down into turn 1 on the McLaren? It looks like Wilson has the straight line speed. Maybe Connor running a little bit higher ERS, and he's actually he's actually being overtaken by Agonize now. So Connor really struggling at the moment.
Yeah, that is mental there for Connor to lose 3 places so quickly. I know one of them was on a soft, so that was Agonize, but now he's going to lose another position from... Surely not. And there's another Alpine in the wall.
Yeah.
That's Dark Killer now in the wall in the same corner that his teammate did it just a few laps ago. And we've lost the timings, unfortunately. So we're going to go back up to the battle for the lead. And look how close this has got. And I'm sure Ron Haar is cursing his luck, as he would have wanted Alfie between the two Alphas. To give him a little bit of a respite, but these two could work against him now.
Yeah, absolutely. If they have any sense about them here, I think they might give it a go with DRS active as well from now on. Shadow is only looking to get closer. Ooh, Shadow's just... Oh, okay, no, okay. There seems to be there's a safety car for the timings. VSC, is it? Yeah, so I've just got a yellow flag on my screen. There's not actually any text. It's just yellow. But yeah, no, it looked like Shadow actually lost the rear end going into the chicane there. I got slightly concerned he was going to bin it on the exit. But yeah, I think he was just slowing down a little bit. But yeah, hang on. You have text. I don't. Why is that a thing? But yeah. So yeah, for now, Ron Haar is able to hold on. Because it's not a full safety car, it means Ron Haar's under immediate pressure as long as Shadow can keep his delta as close to 0 as possible and stay within DRS.
Yeah, loads of drivers popping into the pits for mediums to get that cheap pit stop, as they call it. And
yeah, but this promotes Mulder even higher up now. He's up 8 places since the start of the race. So, yeah, what's going on there?
Shadow immediately gets the perfect restart from the safety car, but Ron Haar was able to... That was a perfect camera angle for it, to be honest, because Ron Haar was able to hold the position just, but Shadow was right up there. But yeah, Mulder having an absolute cracker of a race already. Let's have a look at Mulder, and he's on the medium. He's the highest medium runner, so he is in with a massive shout here for a surprise and maybe to help his teammate out a little bit. But we'll have to wait and see, because Shadow is being chased down. I mean, he has a shadow of his teammate Sparks, and Square getting himself involved as well. But there is a slight breakaway between Square and Clenzo, so the top 4 breaking away at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah, they've just put a little bit Cleanser. I don't think that would surprise him too much. I think it's himself. He's not quite one of the front runners. He's a very, very quick driver, but, you know, probably not expecting to battle on the podium at least, barring a little bit of luck going his way. Safety car, Sparks right on the back of Shadow here. He's actually putting his teammate under quite a bit of pressure. He's saying, you know what, you may have the momentum in the championship, but that pendulum could swing the other way as the gearbox nearly overtook his front end. Sparks there just suffering a little bit with oversteer on the exit and just losing a little bit of time to Shadow as well. But Ron Haar, if he can just keep pushing, could break DRS here. He's right on the knife edge here. He's just got to improve by a couple of hundredths, but it looks like Shadow is just about okay.
Yeah, there was a little bit of an error through on the curb of turn 4. It's caught a lot of people out today already, but Shadow just caught it a little bit and allowed his teammate right back into him. But like you say, it's right on a knife edge here for Ron Haar. If he just gets that little bit of extra grip from somewhere, he can pull away, but now it's all coming back down to play because of the DRS, and there's the fastest lap for Ronha. He's just got to keep on plugging away and doing what he's doing, and he's going to be all right, is Ronha at the moment. The top 4 broken 2.2 seconds to Clenzo now, so that is good in their books, but Square's starting to drop back as well, and this is important information for the drivers. Medium runner of Jonas, I know they're fresh mediums, but he has just set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, at the moment he's putting in a good amount of pace here, but it's going to be interesting to see how that strategy unfolds a little bit later on. Interesting call, but we'll see. Shadow has actually been able to close right back in on Ronha. Ronha had that one go at breaking DRS, and I think now it's gone. He is going to struggle. And we could see a situation where these guys are swapping position every few laps. We've had that a couple of times already with the top 2 this season, and I don't think it would be too much new or surprising to see it here. Ronha's giving it a bit of a weave in. Hang on, Shadow's got a massive amount of overspeed here. He's going to be able to make the move before the braking zone, anywhere near it, and Ronha, no ERS really to play with. Actually, oh, hang on, Shadow's coming into the pit lane. This is an interesting call quite early, but he should also effectively guarantee himself P1 as long as he has a decent outlap. But let's see if he gets stuck in traffic.
Yeah, and a bit deep there from Sparks into turn 1 as well. I thought he might be going for an overtake on Ronha, but nothing on this lap. And I mean, it's a bit early for...
It is, yeah, definitely.
For Shadow. Maybe he's throwing out a 2-stop strategy here, playing people off each other. 3 seconds penalty for Alfie there, not having the best of lucks today at all. As Clenzo, all of a sudden, no, it was a timing glitch, sorry. I thought he was all of a sudden all over the back square, but nothing on that lap. Let's stay on board for the battle of the lead.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, Clenzo's sort of leading his own train at the moment, but he's able to stay at the front of it at the moment. He's doing a really good job. But now Sparks is looking at Ronha ahead. I think they might need to think about boxing here, unless they are going to stick with their original plan and basically just hope that Shadow gets stuck in traffic. He's found himself in a fairly nice slot just ahead of Agonized at the moment. Actually, Shadow's a ghost. I don't know if that's... I'm not sure what's going on there. He hasn't left the session, has he? Okay.
Oh, side by side going into the pits. Ronha just has the lead going into the pits, but Ronha and Sparks side by side. Sparks made the move but broke a little bit early. Let's go on board with Sparks and see if he will retain that lead. He stays in front of Square, surely, and that's a horrendous camera angle it's given me. But Ronha does come out in front of him. Jonas now still the fastest man on the track.
Jonas with the net race lead at the moment, he's hoping to get a couple of cars in between, but I think Connor is he's disconnected here, not able to get any driving cars in between. But yeah, I think Shadow is still in. He is just ghosted for me for some reason. I don't know if that's the same on your end or not, but I had a slight heart attack there for Shadow that he'd disconnected. But look, Ronha, he is still wanting to give it a go. He wants to be right in front of Shadow and the undercut working for Jonas, then working for Shadow, and Ronha just losing out. But Sparks, this is it now. This is going to be really good because we're going to start closing in on the drivers who are on fairly worn medium tyres, and they're not going to pit for a couple more laps here, or quite a few more laps. So this could get quite interesting as we basically have a train of all the leaders, and they've got to try to pass through this traffic as quickly as they can. So yeah, this could get quite interesting.
Yeah, 1.4 between Shadow and Jonas, and obviously, like we've said, Jonas is the net leader of this race. And what pace does Shadow have now? He's removed himself from Ronha's shadow. I know I keep using that pun a lot, but I don't mean to. Shadow is already caught nearly within a second of Jonas. He's now the fastest man on the track, who takes it away from Jonas from a few laps ago, and he's now within the DRS range. Raceway has overtaken Mulder for the lead of the race as well. Mulder is having a little bit of a mare of things. Let's go on board. Is there damage to Mulder? No, he's just a little bit slow for some reason. Raceway is pulling away from the Red Bull, and WOR Wilson might have a little look up the inside, and he's made the move on Mulder. What a move that was. That's not somewhere we see an overtake all the time.
That's a very brave move. There must be something wrong with Mulder here. He's really struggling at the moment. It's a weird one to see as well, because he's not someone you'd expect to start suffering like this. But yeah, I'm not really quite sure. He's using ERS on the exit, but just doesn't have the speed. That's it's a little bit of an odd one. Yeah.
Really struggling. Let's pop back as Matthew Reese overtakes.
Flying past.
But let's see what Ronha can do, because Ronha is under massive danger from Sparks again. but nothing to it yet. And I will keep on board with this because Jonas is under pressure from the AlphaTauri of Shadow as well, but it's all coming together as Ronha now the fastest man on the track, which is a bit odd to see, as Sparks was the one putting him under incredible pressure. Ronha trying to get a move up the inside of Shadow, trying to put off his championship rival, and this is going to be an incredible race.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is shaping up to be brilliant in the next couple of laps because Shadow knows he's got to get past Jonas. Jonas is not quicker than him. So yeah, and I mean, just look at this behind. We've got all the way to square. Agonize is going to start closing in a minute. I think Luke is probably just a little bit too far behind to be doing that. But if Agonize can get in on this battle, he's got very much good things coming ahead of him in this race because, you know, it gives him the opportunity to get a move done. But yeah, at the moment, Shadow just absolutely needs to get... It is absolutely vital for Shadow's race to get past Jonas as quickly as possible, and then it is vital that Ronha can. Both of these guys need to get past that Aston Martin as soon as the opportunity arises, and I think Shadow's gonna get it done here. Actually, Ronha might follow through. He's a lot quicker as well.
Will he go up the inside of Shadow? He doesn't. He moves out the way. Probably the wise thing there to do for Ronha. And what a move. Sparks is up the inside and taken the move as well. Square is going to be the odd one out and not have the move done. And how quickly can these guys pull away? And how much will it affect Square? Because Square's is riding on this to get himself back through, and he's managed to pick up a penalty. The pressure is telling on Square, and will he surely not go up the inside? He has. Square and Jonas side by side. Square's pushing him a little bit through this. And look at these two. It's phenomenal stuff, using all the track everywhere. Will these two surely not still side by side? And Square's had to... Oh no! Square's had to... Oh, and he's around. Square had to take the off-road.
Yeah, you cannot carry speed over those sausage curbs, especially approaching at a diagonal angle like that. You really need to hit it square on either way. Oh, square on. Sorry, the pun's too easy. But yeah, that's not ideal at all. Try to take way too much speed over the sausage curb there, and that is Square around, and basically his race over. Obviously, he's still got a chance of points later on, but yeah, that is any meaningful position out of the window. So now Ronha's right on the back of Shadow, but still not able to get the move done down into turns 1 and 2. So just missing out for the moment. This is shaping out to be a really good battle because they're approaching the trainers, Buraps, Mulder, Wilson and Matthew Rees. And Raceway, like you said before, he's still just driving away with it at the moment. Good 1.5 second lead.
Yeah, Jonas dropping back a little bit now and picking up a penalty for his trouble as well. Coming through turns 3 and 4, but Square all the way down behind his teammate now in 15th place. Maybe I jinxed him a little bit as Ronha taking a little bit more curb than Shadow does through turns 8 and 9 there. That doesn't really give him an advantage. And let's go on board as a helmet cam, I suppose, or just above the helmet. Let's see how he goes and down this long straight now. Sparks, he's not really catching Shadow through this. DRS is open, but it just doesn't seem like he's got the same straight line speed as Shadow.
No, none of them are really using ERS at the top 3, and that's, well, for a very good reason. None of them actually have much ERS to use. The one who has the most is Shadow up front, so I think if Ronha does get too close for comfort, he can rely on using just a little bit to try to extend that gap. But Ronha, I think for a couple of laps now, he's just going to try to literally recharge, stay back a little minute, and then give it another go. Because if he can start... Oh, hang on, I think that was a little bit of lag on my end there. But Ronha, yeah, he just needs to basically get more ERS. That's going to be the most important thing here. Or at least drain Shadows enough that he can't defend with it. So
what are we thinking here? Are we thinking a 2-stop for these guys and a 1-stop for the ones that are still out in front of Mulder, Buraps, or actually they've yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking aloud now, and it's probably not the best thing for it. Ronha, Shadow is actually catching Mulder ahead, and I wonder if Mulder will start to become a rolling roadblock to Shadow to allow Ronha just to get himself back into it. Will Ronha look up the inside of 13? He will not. He backs out and maybe has a look at turn 1, but he just doesn't have the same initial grip.
He's using the DRS now, though, and Shadow hasn't got a lot to play with at all. He's going on the grass! Wow, that was an ambitious move. And I'm fairly sure here that all of the other drivers are seeing Shadow as a ghost as well, because on my screen at least, he basically just drove through his rear right tyre, so that was an odd one.
Yeah, I've got Shadow is ghosted for me, but there was contact between the two of them, so it did show the
maybe
contact.
it's just a spectator glitch for our end then.
Gotta love that. Got to love that.
Oh, it wouldn't be one of these races without a couple of glitches. Yeah, Agonize actually dropping off quite a bit now. He's got Clenzo ahead of him, so yeah, I think Agonize's pace not quite there. And actually, we said Luca probably won't catch up, but I think he's doing a decent job at the moment. He's at least getting to the stage where he can close in on Jonas, which, you know, is a great position for himself. Of course, Ron Ha has that 5-second penalty as well to deal with for speeding in the pit lane, which I don't think we actually mentioned, but I saw it on the bottom of my screen and I think forgot to mention it completely. But yeah, so Ron Hart, he's got a lot more work to do now, because not only does he need to get past Shadow pretty pronto, he's also got to pull out a 5-second gap, which I don't think we're going to see any leader doing at any point this season, so that could be quite challenging.
No, it's been so tight at the top this season that 5 seconds is going to drop you a lot of places.
So, yeah, anything could go on here. A little bit of contact with one of the, not back markers, because of course this is for position, but for people who haven't quite pitted yet. This is going to get a bit tasty. And look at Shadow's speed. He's got so much more grip than Mulder. But he's going to lose time because he's surely not going to give it a go. He is. He's going to dive down the inside. There's contact. And that is not a surprise at all. And there's around. Shadow's around.
Oh my goodness. I'm glad I caught that from Ronhar's perspective. But that is his championship rival around at turn number 7 with contact with his teammate.
Yeah, no, that was very much not the right decision. Obviously, the result shows that quite well, but yeah, that is absolutely not what you want to be doing. That was just a bit too ambitious, and he wasn't really under much pressure from behind either, because he'd have been in the DRS train. That's really surprising and incredibly unlucky as well, because he's got a fair bit to close in now. He's right on the back of Jonas, so he's just slotted himself in between Jonas and Luca for the moment. Sparks has got past Ronha. Sparks ahead of Ronha as well, under braking into the chicane, and now Mulder, he was acting as a roadblock, but yeah, everyone's past him now. I forgot Shadow's not there anymore. So yeah, now it's Sparks' turn to try to navigate the traffic, and I said we could see fireworks as they try to overtake the cars yet to pit. And yeah, I think that's very much proven to be true. But that was, I don't know why he's done that. That was never really going to work unless Mulder literally jumped out the way. And it's not blue flag racing. He's not going to do that. They're on the alternate strategy. They're going to try to be racing at the end.
Yeah, and everything that, you know, like you say, it's not blue flag racing. He's got to make a wiser opportunity, but also I can understand Shadow's impatience because he's got his championship rival behind him and he wants that extra car that, well, especially the Red Bull out of the way, so he doesn't have any sort of issue. But let's go on board with Ronha and look how close this gaggle of cars is. Mulder even included in that as well, but Sparks has got so much better drive actually out of that last hairpin, and he's just heating his tyres up. He does. Oh, is that Haas getting out of the way? The Haas has just pulled out the way for him. That is interesting there, as I think he's moving out the way for Ronha as well. So Buraps is playing the gentleman game, and it might not be the best thing for him. Is it me, or is the skies getting a bit darker here in Canada?
They absolutely are, and if we have got rain coming a little bit later, that would explain why everyone's gone for quite an aggressive strategy here. So, or at least pitting a lot earlier than we'd expect, 2 or 3 laps earlier than you'd normally think. Clenzo's round as well by the looks of it. What's happened to Clenzo? Yeah, I don't think he's got damage, but he's definitely gone round because he's just lost out to Agonize and got to go faster. Sparks getting past Wilson as well. That's a fairly neat move, and he's got that done. So Sparks putting a car in between himself and Ronhart, but for how much longer? Because Ronhart, actually, no, Wilson's using, he's just got, Wilson, I think, is running a really low drag setup. There's been a couple of times in this race where I've seen, compared to the leaders, he's just absolutely driven off. So yeah, I think he might be using a slightly lower downforce setup there, perhaps.
Yeah, look at Sparks again.
Yeah, Matthew Rees not starting out the way, though.
Yeah, he's trying his luck, bless him, as Wilson picks up a 3-second time penalty. But I don't blame him for trying. You know, he's a quick driver.
First time round.
And Ronhart up the inside of Wilson there, pushing the McLaren driver around a little bit there. And he's finally got the move stuck. Let's go on board with Ronhart as he looks in front of him finally, back behind an Alfa Romeo of Sparks this time, not Shadow. Look how quick the grip, and it was the same with Shadow a few laps ago, and Sparks not making the same mistake and being a little bit patient. And but it's looking like it is going to rain here, which could cause some real Sparks trying to go up the inside like he did on Wilson the lap before, but it wasn't happening for him, and he's going to try down the hairpin surely, because look at the grip difference between the two of them.
Yeah, but if you're Buraps and you know there's rain coming, he's going for the move down the inside at the hairpin. He's going to get it on exit. He should have much better traction, and he does. So there we go. Sparks hasn't got a lot of VRS to play with here, but he does have the VRS advantage over Raceway. But yeah, if you know there's rain coming later on in this race, I don't know why your Burap should be getting out the way that easily. So yeah, we'll have to see. There's still a little bit, so there's still little blotches of blue in the sky. So I don't think it's quite imminent, but it's definitely potential. And look at this now, Ron Hart going for the move round the outside on Sparks for the net race lead. And he's going to surely, with the inside line, get the better exit and have the ride. Oh, that is a bit of a shaky exit. And he can cut across Sparks as they come into the next corner now. And that is Ron Hart back. And it's actually started raining. We have rain on the cameras now. And this is absolutely great news for Raceway, because he could end up with effectively a free pit stop.
He could indeed. And going down the back straight, Matthew Rees, Sparks and Ronha, well, there was nearly an incident between Ronha and Sparks. Sparks was, I don't want to say aggressive with his defender, but came back onto the racing line, and Ronha was very nearly there. Here comes Ronha up the inside into the hairpin. Will he take the net lead of the race? He will do. But when do these guys pit? Is it wet enough to pit? And Sparks is following through as well. Raceway is going to lose 2 places. Great strategy nonetheless, but it hasn't worked out for him in the end. He's still, though, up into 3rd place. A great strategy call for him. But here comes Sparks. Will he make a move up the inside of Ronha? He does not. He thinks better off it. And that Alpine, I think, of Dark Killer is just a little bit in the way for some of these guys. But Sparks not going for it in the end. And
drive starting to go a little bit deep into turn 1 now, so I think they're starting to struggle with the traction and the braking as well. We're not quite into stage yet. Give it maybe a lap or 2 and I think we could be, but for the moment I don't think it's quite there. It's just a stage where they're beginning to struggle, which just makes things a little more perilous. So let's expect maybe a spin or 2 in the next couple of moments. Look at that, Ronha and Sparks both getting loose on the exit, and Sparks has actually got an incredible run. He's gone on DRS and a little bit of ERS as well. He's just right closed the gap down. But Ron Hart, he's got the DRS from Alfie as well, so I think he might opt to just stay behind for the safety car line here, which he does. So, and there we go. So that Moulder round, we said with, yeah, it is Moulder round. There we go. First of the casualties with this implement. Whatever. And there's, yeah, I thought I got to go fast. Moulder temporarily unghosted there, and I thought got to go fast as about to plough into the back of him. But fortunately, the Red Bull does come back on. Let's see if we get anyone pitting in the next lap or 2. No one taking the risk yet. Yes, Raceway. He's going for it. Will he be able to get the undercut? The conditions worsen too much on this lap. Wilson as well. Also, Burap. So quite a few players staying out. Yeah, there's quite a few. I think, I don't know whether one more lap or not. We'll just wait till we see DRS disabled, basically. I think that's the best course of action there, but we'll have to wait and see. Raceway, if this works for him, could be in a really good position, because if you tend to time it right, you can actually gain a second or 2.
Yeah, Matthew Rees is now 3 seconds behind Sparks, and not so long ago they were side by side. Shadow is trying to catch back up, so he's not too far away as well. But let's have a look at Raceway and just see how he handles through some of these corners. And if he's struggling, I think it is.
He's slower so far a little bit. He's a little bit slower so far. 20.2 becomes 20.4, becomes 20.3. Okay, so maybe he's there or thereabouts. Probably just at the crossover period at the moment, which means for the latter half of this lap, he might have a little bit more speed. Maybe enough for an undercut. 20.4, 20.5, so... Oh no, he's really struggling out there at the moment. But... yeah, he's hanging there or thereabouts. I think probably Sparks and Ron Hart, if they pit this lap, have just about timed it right, which they do.
And Shadow gets past Matthew Rees, but will this cause him to have a slow pit stop? This is going to be crucial for Shadow. Let's go board with Shadow, because Willie, how much? I think he's going to get held in the pits. He is.
Yeah, Raceway's closed in 1.5 seconds though in that last part of the lap. We just got to the crossover point mid-lap, and we're now at that point. Ceci Row Raceway is going to end up once the leaders come out. Sparks, sorry, should be okay because you've got the better run. Yeah, he's very much okay. So Ron Hart, serving his 5-second penalty, of course, has lost out, but fortunately stays ahead of Shadow. Where's Shadow coming out? Yeah, he's coming out in P8, just behind Luca. So actually nearly being undercut by Jonas as well. Them all making that mistake of staying out in the mediums. What was in the end a mistake, 1 lap longer.
Yeah, so Raceway in P2, 3 seconds behind Sparks, so that's a big time difference. 3.5 for Raceway and Ron Hart. And Wilson up into 4th place. What a, you were saying about him going for a little bit of a different setup maybe from other people because he was rapid in certain areas. And he's, it's done him well. He's 4th place. It's a brilliant drive for the McLaren driver so far. 3 second time penalty for Wilson. And while we're on the subject of penalties, let's have a quick look at this. Jonas is on 6 penalties. Agonize on 3. Burap's on 3. Wilson on 3. So Shadow can still get himself some good points here. But crucially for Shadow is his teammate is leading the race. So Ronha will not get the maximum points.
No, not at the moment. So yeah, he's missing out on that part, and I think that should stay that way unless we get some miraculous dry running at the end. So Ron Hart, he's now on the back of Raceway. So Raceway was actually able to undercut with the assist of a 5-second penalty, of course. So he did actually end up benefiting from a lap earlier. So yeah, fair play to him. But he's now a little bit of a cork in Ron Hart's bottle here because he is basically just losing Ron Hart a lot of time at the moment. 3.2 is the gap. And yeah, Sparks is in a real good shape at the moment. Yeah, this will just be interesting to see, basically. It all depends on how fast Ron Hart can get past Raceway and what their wet running pace is like.
I haven't seen the DRS disabled sign. It's obviously come out because these guys aren't using DRS, and how close can Ron Hart get to the back of the Williams without touching? The answer is very close.
Round. Yeah, Jonas around, and yeah, he's already got a couple of penalties to his name.
Ron Hart at the inside of Raceway. Yep. Sorry, Raceway is split back onto him, but it's not enough, and Ron Hart gets the position. He's 3.9 seconds behind Sparks. I think that was a mistake from Raceway not to cover off the inside down into the hairpin, and Ron Hart has made the move, and maybe Ron Hart's on it. He was a little bit slower than Sparks and Shadow as a whole, as he picks up a 3-second time penalty. That is crucial to this race.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and that is going to make it all a lot harder. Let's just quickly have a look at how many warnings Sparks is on, just for the yeah, he's only on 1. So Ron, oh no, he's on 2 actually. He got 1 on the first lap as well. I don't know if that was 1 for contact or not though. That should be quite easy checked. No, it was exceeding track limits. So yeah, if Sparks gets 1 more warning in the last, 12 laps now, then he's going to pick up a penalty as well, which I'd say is semi-likely. I don't know. I think in the wet, it's probably a little bit easier because you're driving a bit slower, but equally you have less grip. Jonas has ended his rather poor day at the office. I think I also saw a car spinning when I was scrolling through a grid a moment ago. I'm not sure actually who it was. No one seems to have lost a lot, but I did definitely see a car sideways, so I think they were able to recover quite swiftly. But yeah, Shadow, he's not actually making too many inroads into Luca at the moment. I don't think Shadow's wet pace is quite the absolute immense speed we've seen in the dry, but he is coming up to a train behind Wilson at the moment, and this could get fairly interesting actually, because it does look like Wilson's not quite got the wet pace.
Yeah, maybe Wilson's pace was more about the dry. Burraps is actually looking pretty quick as he's catching in to Matthew Rees, but it's not enough on this lap. Maybe into turn 1. We'll keep an eye on that one. Ronha is catching Sparks as well, so maybe more of a wet weather setup for Ronha as he's showing a little bit more pace and pulling away from Raceway as well.
Yeah, at the moment he is absolutely on a stormer because he has got to close in another 2.5 seconds, then get past and then pull away what is at the moment his 3-second deficit. But whether Sparks picks up another warning or not, well, that's up to Sparks, and we'll have to see in the next few laps. But Ronha, he knows his task at the moment. He's at very least got to get himself ahead of Sparks on the road. So yeah, he's just basically got to eat into that gap. If he can go around 0.5 second a lap, he should be in pretty good stead to at least get past, and then maybe just about have the deficit, or the delta, sorry, to actually get the move done. yeah, it's going to be good. It's just locking up both of his fronts under braking into the hairpin. The conditions out there are not looking great. I don't think we should see full wets unless this rain gets a lot heavier. But you know what? It'd be quite fun to chuck in another set of pit stops as well. But Shadow's gone quite deep into the hairpin, trying to get past Shadow. And now Luca, he did temporarily have the better run, but Shadow's just weaving now. So I don't know whether he's not best pleased with some of Luca's defending. It did look like they maybe made a little bit of contact. They're both going a little bit slower than you'd expect through the hairpin. So, yeah, we'll have to see. I don't think... Well, so I didn't see it, so I don't know if that's one for the stewards or not. The Shadow not seeming best pleased, or just trying to break the toe. Could be either here, but he's now got Matthew Rees, Burraps, and Wilson ahead of him, and this is a lot to do, and there's a yellow, but for who?
Mulder's retired in the pit lane there.
Pit lane, yeah.
Shadow made it into the hairpin. He was up the inside and overtook Luca there, and Luca tried to switch back, but it just wasn't enough for Luca. I wonder if Shadow is trying to heat those tyres up, because that could be what he's having problems with. But Ronha now 1.4 seconds behind Sparks, but we'll keep on board with the battle with Shadow as he's all over the back of Burraps, and he could bring himself back into the swing of things. Some good point scoring if he keeps it clean throughout. Just having a quick look up above as well, and Matthew Rees holding well with no penalties at the moment, but Ronha crucially outside of the 3 seconds to raceway, so he's going to keep that second place if it does happen. Well, if we were to finish this lap, let's say. We are on lap, just about to go on lap 26, as Ronha pulling in Sparks even more as Tribion picks up a penalty. Matthew Rees picking up another penalty. Look, Burraps makes a mistake out of the Wall of Champions, and Shadow around the outside is up into P6. His battle recovery is on.
Yeah, absolutely. He is going for it, and he knows he's got to get these moves done, and he has got the advantage of drivers ahead of him having penalties. If he can get close enough, he should benefit from, at very least, Matthew Rees and Wilson at the moment. So even if he can't get the move done, he should end up in P4. But Ronha currently lapping just about a second a lap quicker than Sparks. So I said, yeah, you know, he might need half a second to get this move done. Well, he's just gone and doubled that. So let's see what Ronha's going to be able to do. I think he's actually gaining most of his time through the first sector, and that was so nearly disaster for the championship leader, who's currently set to extend his championship lead by a very good amount. Sparks has gone really deep. Obviously, he's going to get a better rundown now into the chicane, but that's not going to help his overall lap time, unless he's just taking a very ambitious wet line here. But yeah, Ronha closing in all the more as we're going through corner by corner. How quickly can he get the move done, and can he pull out that 3 second gap?
That's all what Ronha will be thinking about. But let's go on board with Shadow as he comes down into the last chicane. He's caught, well, he's now all over the back of the Mercedes and Matthew Rees, but nothing able at the moment. And look at the curb difference, and there he is, a little bit swervy again, Shadow. Maybe it is just eating those tyres up as Square picks up another penalty. I feel like I've done him the dirty with saying that he was going to win this race, as he's really struggling now. A little tap of the back from Shadow into the back of Matthew Rees. But let's go back to the battle for the lead, because it's only 0.3 of a second between the two of them, as Ronha has showed some incredible pace. He is just out and out flying in this wet weather at the moment.
Yeah, he's absolutely got the pace for the moment. It's I don't know. We mentioned earlier on he didn't have a lot of pace in straight line speed. So could that be a wet setup, like you sort of alluded to before? Running higher wings, going for the wet setup, knows it's going to rain at the end of the race, and that's where most of the positions are going to be decided. Is in this wet period at the end. The first 20 laps are effectively just shaking up for the last 15. So yeah, this is it's quite interesting. He's now using his ERS as well. So Ronha going to try to get the move done. Shadow on Matthew Rees. He's got immense speed as well. And Shadow backing out of it there. I think he realised Matthew Rees was going to take the line there, trying to cut him off. But yeah, very much enough. I don't think Shadow... Yeah, he's giving it a bit of a weave again. I don't know if he's just trying to put the Mercedes driver off under braking, try to force him into a mistake at the chicane, but it's not quite happening for the moment. Ronha now, this is where he seems to be closing the most, is through sector 1, but his charge has somewhat faltered as he's getting a little bit more of a face full of spray through all the corners now, the closer he gets to the back of that Alfa Romeo. And another penalty, and there we go. I would say there goes the chance of the win, as Square is out of the race as well, and now all of a sudden this opens up the chance. Very slim shot. No, that's not good. I was going very slim shot. Well, it could actually. Still another 6-7 laps to go. Matthew Rees actually, sorry, on Wilson. actually interrupting myself now. He can't get the move done, and now Shadow has a chance, which is where I was going with that sentence at the start. Shadow might just about have the chance with a 3-second penalty. Oh no, actually, Shadow's picked up his own penalty. I think a lot of drivers are really struggling in these wet conditions to keep all 4 wheels on the track. As Shadow pushing Matthew Rees around the corners. Now he's going to go for the move round the outside at the hairpin by the looks of it. Let's see how late he could brake, how brave he wants to be. And Matthew Rees holding his line very firm. He's got to leave room on the exits. Alfa Romeo's there. And there we go. He can now see the gearbox as Shadow is going to try to drive away into the distance. But he's got a bit of pressure behind still from Matthew Rees. And Burap's trying to join in the party here. And look at this, Matthew Rees using slipstream to his advantage, but he's not going to get the move done, as he does obviously not go for a dive bomb in wet conditions at the chicane. That would be asking for trouble.
Yeah, absolutely crazy stuff for those guys there. And Shadow finally making the move stick on Matthew Rees. And Burap's, like you said, trying to get in on the action, trying to give himself some big things in this race. It's a shame that Shadow's picked up that 3-second time penalty, because it could have been crucial for him to get onto that podium. But now it's a lot of work to do for Shadow to do that now. But let's see what Raceway can do, because he's holding station at 3.4 seconds behind Ronhar. I think Ronhar has the overall pace advantage, as we've seen on Sparks, but being stuck behind him has caused him, A, to pick up that other penalty, and B, with just under 6 laps to go, he's struggling with maybe grip and spray and everything that's going on. Let's go on board with Shadow and see what he can do out of all this. As you know, if he can get past Wilson quick, he can give himself a chance to maybe a real outside chance of that podium.
Yeah, very outside at the moment, but if he can, yeah, no, he's got to have some absolute immense pace once if he can get past Wilson. But Raceway at the moment holding on firm, and yeah, you know, if he can get past Wilson, he's only got to close about 2 seconds. And if you look at Wilson's exit there, if that's a testament to the rest of his pace, Shadow's been losing a fair bit of time. So let's see what Shadow's pace is like. Now he can finally be unleashed. He very much cut across Wilson's line there. I think Wilson probably getting a little bit leery under braking, but it's okay. In the end, no real drama there. But let's see what Shadow's pace is like now. He's got another 4 laps to go at it, or 4.5 or so. So let's see what his pace is like. Let's see if he can close in, because he's only got to close, what's that, about, realistic, I'll pop it on leader to make it a bit easier, a little bit easier maths. Yeah, only about 5 seconds he's got to put it on Ronhar. So we've seen Ronhar's pace is great, but he's stuck behind Sparks at the moment. So this is really how much faster is one Alfa Romeo quicker than the other.
Shadow's already taken a second out of Wilson and catching Raceway at a rate of knots. Let's go on board then with Ronhar, as what can he do with this? Because Sparks is just doing everything right, I think is the best way to describe it. And he has loads of ERS to his disposal, unlike Ronhar. So Ronhar is not been saving very often at those moments where he just slips out and not helping him, and it gives Sparks just that little bit of impetus. He's going to have to make a move somewhere or other so he doesn't lose out, as Shadow is now nearly within 5 seconds of Raceway.
Yeah, Shadow, he's only 8.9 off the lead, so he's already closed in about 4 or 5 tenths. So, you know, if those guys keep battling, he's going to get a lot closer to Ronhar. And Sparks, you know, he's not going to give up the lead. He knows Ronhar has a penalty, but he wants to win it on track. He will probably risk his car for it as well. Yeah, it's this is going to be a good battle, because Ronhar absolutely needs to get past, because he can see the threat of Shadow. The gap's now 8.5 seconds to Sparks and only 8 seconds to Ronhar. So that's that's still just about 5 seconds he needs to close from about 5.8 a second ago, 5.9. He's only got to do 5. So if he carries on at this rate, he could be right there at the end. This will be interesting. This will be really close, I think.
Yeah, this is it's crunch time for Shadow and Ronhar, both of them. Obviously, the championship battle is in the, it's there, it's happening right as we see it. And I'm just trying to think, what would this do to Shadow? What would, Sparks. How would this affect his confidence? Obviously, it's going to be sky high, but even in the table, it's going to throw him up a huge amount. And especially with the likes of Square and Viper not having a good day, neither is WR Connor. But still nothing able for Ronhar, and he's just getting frustrated, and maybe he'll pick up another penalty. And if that happens, then that is just it's unthinkable to think what would happen. And I think this would throw Sparks into third in the championship, if my maths is correct.
Yeah, it should. Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
there's no...
I was just trying to do it as well. But Ron Hart, sorry. Ron Hart is only one more warning of another penalty, so he does have to be incredibly clean in this last 2 and a bit laps. He is in big trouble. Shadow's got that gap down now to 8 seconds, 8.0 seconds. So he's getting closer and closer, but I don't think he's gonna quite be able to do it unless Ron Hart does pick up. Actually, I say it's just gone down to 7.5 now. So he is closing in quite quickly once he gets his corners right. It just depends. How well, really, I think he's going to run out of laps. That's the issue. It depends on the lap count. But yeah, at the moment, Ron Hart, he doesn't, we saw him close so much on Sparks while he had clean air, but he just can't get past. It's just not happening for him at the moment. Sparks doing absolutely everything right defensively. He's putting his car where it needs to be. No grand Sebastian Vettel moment on the last lap, hopefully, for himself, because he's got himself in a great shape for the championship going forwards now.
Yeah, so not even, he might be holding up Ron Hart for the time being to help his teammate out, but then it also propels him into the thoughts of, actually, this gives me a good chance in the title itself. So you'll have to wait and see how it all pans out at season end. But at the moment, Sparks is doing a phenomenal job holding up the championship leader. Ron Hart is doing everything he can in his power to get past, but it's just not happening at the moment. And Shadow closing in on Raceway, but not enough.
0.9, so he's a lot closer. He's got to close in only about 2 more seconds, actually. He's about 2.5 seconds in the last 2 laps. So it's doable, but it is going to depend on Sparks and Ron Hart having a pretty big battle on this last lap, and maybe a mistake to go with it. He's closing. That's what I mean. He just needs a lap or 2 more, but he's not going to get it. He's just got a fairly poor exit from the hairpin as well. I think he went a little bit deep. So I think that is Shadow's chance at P3 over for the moment, unless Ron Hart does pick up another penalty on this last lap of the race. Sparks is about to start. He has done so well to get himself back in it. You wouldn't have said earlier on that he was necessarily going to win. That would have been quite a surprise. We have a yellow flag out on track. Who's that for? Looking around, that was
Chile.
Who was that? Yeah, I think because got to go faster. Chile got to go faster. No, actually, I think they may have collided there. It did seem like and he's giving it a bit of a weave as well. I think there actually might have been contact between 2, and they might have got stuck on each other going through the hairpin.
Yeah, I think that's from the hairpin and the looking back on the stream. It looks like that is what happened between the 2 of them. But Ron Hart, he just doesn't have the pace anymore. He's given everything to Sparks, and Sparks has held firm and done everything right. Sparks has had a cracker of a race. Shadow is closing in though on Raceway. It's all come in very, very quickly on this last lap as a yellow flag, and that is got to go fast. Go on again, and he's not having the best of things. But Sparks and Ron Hart is actually dropping ground. Sparks is flying away now. Sparks is going to take victory by a country mile because of the penalties. But what a race for Sparks. We've said it before, we didn't think he would win this one, but he's done the best. He's taken the best of a bad situation for the other guys, and he's going to take victory. He's finally done it in season 11. Sparks is a winner, and it will be surely Raceway coming home in the line in P2 bar some incredible explosion from the Williams. He will be P2. Ron Hart does take the final podium positions as Shadow's car just drives into the back of him. Wilson, will he finish P5? We'll have to wait for the penalties all to come down. No, Wilson does finish P5 with Luca coming home in P6. P7 and 8 goes to the Mercedes duo of Matthew Rees and Colenso. Matthew Rees having a cracking race in the end, and Burap's finishing P9, agonising P10, and across the line for 11th is Chile. Got to go fast. Will finish this race in P12, and 13 will go to Tribion. And where was Dark Killer on track? It's because he hasn't taken the checkered flag yet. As cars.
No, his AI is still driving around, coming down the back straight. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, that ended up being a little bit more dramatic with the rain than we thought it was going to be. Yeah, that was overall brilliant race. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's really well done, Sparks. He's put himself in an absolutely great shape in the championship, at least for his P3 battle that we were talking about at the start of the stream. So, he's given himself a real good early advantage there, despite, not scoring in the first race. And it is one of those things now of where could he have been? Because he was performing really well in round 1 before, I believe he got contact with, thinking back, I think it was Ron Ha, I think it might have been. And I think that spun him round, and then from there the race just completely unravelled. Or Shadow, I can't remember. God, I just remember an Alpha and a Red Bull hitting each other. But yeah, Sparks losing out in the first race, and he's going to start to rue that, I think, because he could have been within maybe about 10 points or so of Shadow and Ronha after they've both had relatively poor performances today. Ronha with his joint worst finish of the season, and Shadow, well, this is the first time he's finished and not come home first.
Yeah, Shadow, unfortunate there, but let's talk down the order. The podium sitter, the top step, is Sparks with WR Raceway in second place. Third place goes to Ronha with the fastest lap as well, so that extra point crucial to the championship battle with Shadow finishing fourth. So used to Shadow finishing ahead of Sparks that I've got it the wrong way around. WR Wilson then, cracking race for him, P5. P6 goes to Luca. Matthew Reese 7th, 8th Colenso, Burraps 9th, and 10th is Agonize. Chile got to go fast. Trivion all finishes with the rest either AI'd or not finishing, and it's a great race nonetheless that we had up our sleeves here. I wonder if we are going to get anyone in the waiting room for the podium questions. We'll have to wait and see. But your driver of the day, please.
I've got to go. Yeah, I don't know actually, because it's really hard between Raceway and Sparks. Raceway played the strategy incredibly well, but I feel like I don't want to say he lucked into it, because obviously he was able to play it off really well and drove incredibly well not to get penalties. But I think for me, Sparks, because he was, he was right up there battling with the leaders when he needed to be. He got the moves done. Yeah, he did make the most of some bad situations, at least for Shadow, who was a little bit impatient, and it is one of those what could have been for Shadow today, but he does lose out. I'm going to go with Sparks, I think. I think that's fair, but a big shout out to Raceway as well for keeping it clean and playing the strategy incredibly well.
Yeah, crazy end, and I think I might agree with you. Sparks has had a phenomenal race, really enjoyable as well to watch from his point of view. Ronha, again, those penalties, will they come back to, will that second place becoming a third come back to haunt him at the end of the season? We'll only know at the end of the season. But we will wait for a little while to see if anyone will pop into the waiting room for podium questions. But, sum up the race for you, because that was there was some moments in there where things weren't going right for some of the drivers that we thought would do really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was in the end a race that was dominated by when we get to the stage where you're trying to overtake the back markers, or not, I keep saying back markers, absolutely not back markers, the alternate strategy runners, who are just running a little bit slower. You can get impatient. It starts to creep in, and I think if you were to take a word away from this today, it would be impatience. We've seen it a couple of times, drivers just thinking about trying to go for a move where they probably shouldn't, and a lot of the time it did pay off, and actually there were some brilliant overtakes because of it. But yeah, Shadow, I think the biggest loser today because of it. And yeah, it's one of those things of he's got to go away. I think this is, I don't know if he did something a little bit similar earlier on in the season. So, maybe it is something he needs to just look at, reflect on, and give it another rethink. But it's just in general an incredibly chaotic race with some absolutely stunning moves, some really brave moves around the outside in places where you wouldn't normally expect it. And yeah, people playing the strategy really well as well. I'd say that was... obviously with the rain, the literal perfect storm for some drivers. We got the point where around the time we'd normally be seeing the medium runners coming to pits anyway, you get some rain and they're thinking that their Christmas has come early. And it did in the end. It really has shaken up the order. Some drivers you maybe wouldn't have seen at the front end, Raceway especially, if those conditions had stayed dry. So yeah, I think overall really entertaining race, brilliant moves, and then also a couple of controversial incidents to go with it.
Yeah, so it looks like we might get Ron Ha. He's asked for a minute, so we'll wait and see if he'll pop into the waiting room and see from that point. But yeah, you're definitely right. Incredible synopsis of what went on. Definitely those medium runners, we thought maybe would drop off if we didn't know it was going to rain in the race. And a part of me was hoping for a 2011 Canadian Grand Prix where it would dry up at the end and it would just throw another twist in the belt that we had here. But it wasn't enough, unfortunate. But yeah, crazy throughout, and I really enjoyed the race as a whole. You know, with the drivers pitting early from the softs, and that's probably why we saw them go like an extra 2 or 3 laps on the softs in qualifying, because they knew that was going to be the strategy. Now let's see if we can get the man who's leading the championship in here for a few questions from ourselves. I don't think we're going to get anyone else, but Ronhar, I think I've managed to get him into here. So Ronhar, welcome to the podium questions. Congratulations on P3, but that was a struggle for you in the end.
Yeah, it all depends. I hate these track limits around this track. I think most of these drivers do, but yeah, I haven't practiced too much in the race, so it's expected, to be honest.
Now, we thought in the dry part of the race that you weren't as competitive as possible compared to Shadow and Sparks. Did you bank on a wet weather strategy here?
The strategy was normally it's soft medium, but it's a really big stretch. So yeah, knowing the rain was coming, I think soft medium was quite easy. But yeah, realizing at the end mediums inters was the best strategy. So yeah, it is what it is.
And did you go for a more of a wet setup than you would have normally gone at Canada?
I literally went my fully dry setup because I was pretty sure it was only going to rain for the last like 5, maybe 6 laps. It turned out to be half the race. So yeah, I ran a complete dry setup. Maybe I changed my diff a bit lower, so I had a bit more rotation. So yeah, that's the only thing I changed.
Beacon, anything for our championship leader?
I wouldn't say. I'd say just really looking forward to the next couple of races. Are you feeling fairly confident you can extend that gap a little bit further now?
I don't know. It depends what track it is. Let me have a look on the calendar. I think it's what's next. Do you guys know what's next?
Is it Austria, then Great Britain? I think it's that way round.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are pretty strong tracks for me. So hope I can do well. Get some. Well, I hope I get some wins. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, no, really well done. If you have anything else to add.
All right.
Okay, brilliant. We've also got Sparks waiting as well, so we'll bring him into the comms box as well. So I'll move him over right now.
Cool, fantastic. Sparks, welcome to the podium questions. How are you feeling after that? Your first race win of the season. Was it comfortable, or were you sweating a little bit through all that?
They're quite slightly unaware.
Hello?
Oh, there we go. There we go. Hello.
Oh, yeah, so to get a win under my belt after the start of the season I've had, I'm really glad to get that out of the way, because this start to the season hasn't been ideal, where I feel like I've got the pace to fight for the title this year. So to have a really bad start to the season with a DNF in Bahrain and a puncture in Suzuka, to win this was amazing. And to be honest, sort of similar to Ronhar, I expected it to only rain for a short part of the race, so I put on a full dry setup, but I knew if it was going to rain, I was going to up my front wing anyway for the rain period. But I mean, the incident with Shadow was really unfortunate. I think he had a crash in the race, and I was really unfortunate for him, because he's in a big championship battle. I think he probably would have won the race if it wasn't for that. But I just managed my warnings, made sure I didn't get any penalties. I know Canada's a really easy track to get time penalties, so I knew if I take it easy, it could be a really good result for me. So, of course, when I knew Ron had 6 seconds of penalties at the end, I just took it easy and really pushed it.
You've said about your teammate obviously being in a title battle, and it's really big, but now you've thrown yourself into the mix as well now. So, what's the dynamic going to be at Alfa Romeo now? Well,
I mean, I guess it's going to be a free for all. I guess, but we're still going to work together. If it benefits both of us, we are going to work together. I mean, if it's last lap, we're gonna send it. But for the most part, we are going to work together quite a lot. Hopefully, hopefully this season to hopefully provide good show and win the constructor championship and maybe the drivers as well.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Beacon, have you got? Sorry, I think I might have cut you off through that. I just any questions for you?
No, just well, a bit of two. So, first of all, I was just saying we noticed in the race, something I've never actually seen before from from the race when you're getting past the people who aren't pitted yet. A little was that were you quite surprised to be asking for a position, giving it a little bit of a weave, and then perhaps pulling out of your way?
I mean, if it wasn't for Borup letting me through, that could have changed the race as well. So massive thanks to him. I was expecting them to fight me because, of course, they still are in the race win technically, the fight for the win. Because they can just hang out their mediums, but
Yeah.
I pulled a weave on everyone, and then if they didn't want to fight me, then they didn't have to. But Borup let me through, and other people was fighting me, but that's fine. At the end of the day, it's more fun trying to overtake people properly. So
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm like, hang on, if they coordinated that beforehand, but no, yeah, it's so interesting. But yeah, also mentioned about the warnings as well. I believe you're on 2 warnings pretty much the whole latter half of the race there. So how much pressure was it just to keep within the track limits, but also trying to keep Ronha behind yourself?
I had 2 warnings for about first 8 laps, and
Yeah.
knew all I wanted to do really was just chill in the DRS because I knew Ronha was looking quite aggressive through the final sector. So I thought, he's probably going to get a penalty at some point because he looks like he was struggling a little bit on the mediums. I was really just chilling and, not cutting, taking it quite conservative because, like I said earlier, it can make or break your race if you don't get penalties around Canada because it's such an easy track to cut. So I just chilled and let everyone else make their mistakes, and it's worked for me. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you have anything to add, Warder, is that?
That's all good from me. Congratulations, you two. Fantastic racing, and I really enjoyed seeing you guys battle it through. Beacon, have you got any final words before I do a rundown of what's happening WR this week?
Not apart from a big thank you to everyone who's been watching it throughout tonight. I think we were treated to a pretty good race, I think it's fair to say. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get to see you all next week when you join us again. And yeah, let's give a quick plug to everything else that's going on in the world of WOR.
So don't forget, obviously, Tuesday we've got the Xbox League Tier 2, Tier 4, Tier 6 and Tier 7 going on tomorrow. Wednesday we've got Tier 3 for the Xbox and Tier 5. There's so many Xbox tiers, it's incredible because there's even more on a Thursday. Tier 8, 9, 10 and 11 all battling it through. And then we're going to the PlayStation side on a Friday night, which is Tiers 1 and 2. And then Sunday, the main event, I suppose, on the PC. You've got all 4 tiers running through. Hopefully we'll have something and no lobby glitches on that one, but an incredible lineup for you this week. Incredible racing here in WOR, and we hope you've enjoyed the race tonight. I certainly have, and I'm certain Beacon has as well. But for from us two for this week, we'll call it a night, and we'll hopefully see you all next Monday.
See ya.